Patricia Anderson was drinking her morning coffee on the back porch of her Texas home when she noticed something strange. A gray squirrel was sitting on the railing, staring directly at her. Not the typical skittish behavior of a wild animal. This squirrel was watching her with an intensity that made Patricia uncomfortable. She'd lived in this house for 12 years, seen hundreds of squirrels in her yard, but none had ever acted like this. The squirrel chirped loudly, once, twice, 3 times. Then it did something that made Patricia set down her coffee cup in shock. It picked up something small from beside it and carried it toward her. Not away. Toward her. Have you ever seen a wild animal ask a human for help? Patricia stood slowly, not wanting to startle it. As she moved closer, she could see what the squirrel was carrying. A baby, a tiny squirrel kit, barely bigger than her thumb, its eyes still closed. The mother squirrel placed it gently on the porch floor, then looked up at Patricia again. The baby wasn't moving right. Its breathing was labored, its small chest heaving with effort. Even from 3 feet away, Patricia could see something was terribly wrong. Before she could react, the mother squirrel disappeared over the railing. Patricia knelt beside the tiny kit, her nursing instincts from 40 years in healthcare kicking in immediately. The baby was burning with fever. Its skin was hot to the touch, even through the fur. "Oh, you poor thing," Patricia whispered. Then she heard it again, chirping, urgent and insistent. The mother squirrel was back, carrying a second baby. She placed it next to the first, then vanished again. This kit was in even worse condition. Its eyes were crusted shut, its body limp. Patricia's heart sank. These babies were dying. The mother appeared a third time, carrying the last kit. This one was crying weakly, its small mouth open in distress. The mother placed all 3 babies in a neat row on Patricia's porch, then sat back on her haunches and looked up at the human. Patricia had seen a lot in her 70 years. She'd raised 4 children, fostered 6 more, worked as an ER nurse through countless emergencies. But she'd never seen anything like this. A wild animal bringing her sick babies to a human and asking for help. "You want me to save them?" Patricia said softly. It wasn't a question. The squirrel chirped once. Then she turned and climbed the oak tree beside the porch, positioning herself on a branch where she could watch. Waiting. Can you imagine being chosen like that? Being trusted with the most precious thing a mother has? Patricia carefully scooped up all 3 kits in a dish towel and brought them inside. She'd raised orphaned wildlife before. Birds, rabbits, even a baby possum once. But she'd never had a mother animal deliberately bring her babies for care. She set up a warm box with heating pads, examining each kit carefully. They were maybe 2 weeks old, their fur just starting to fill in. All 3 had severe respiratory infections. Their lungs rattled with every breath. Without treatment, they wouldn't survive the night. Patricia called her friend Dr. William Torres, a local veterinarian who specialized in wildlife. "You're not going to believe this," she said, explaining the situation. "The mother brought them to you?" William's voice was skeptical. "Patricia, squirrels don't do that. They're wild animals. They hide their sick young. They don't seek out humans." "Then explain why there are 3 dying baby squirrels on my kitchen table, and their mother is sitting in my oak tree watching my window." William arrived within the hour. He examined the kits, his expression growing more serious. "Severe pneumonia, all 3. They're badly dehydrated too. This one," he pointed to the smallest, "might not make it through the day. What do they need?" "Antibiotics, fluids, warmth, Round-the-clock care? William looked at Patricia. You're talking about waking up every 2 hours to feed and medicate them. For weeks. At your age, that's... I'll do it, Patricia interrupted. That mother chose me for a reason. I'm not letting her down. William prepared medication and showed Patricia how to tube feed the tiny amounts of formula the kits needed. I'll check back tomorrow, but Patricia, prepare yourself. The odds aren't good. After William left, Patricia looked out her kitchen window. The mother squirrel was still there, on the same branch, watching. I'll try my best, Patricia said to the window. I promise. The first night was brutal. Patricia set alarms every 2 hours. Each time, she would warm the formula, medicate each kit, try to get them to swallow. The smallest one, whom she'd named Pepper, barely responded. His breathing was so shallow she could hardly see his chest move. The mother squirrel never left the tree. Even at 2 a.m. when Patricia turned on the kitchen light, she could see the silhouette on the branch. By day 3, Pepper still hadn't improved, but the other two, Scout and Ruby, were showing signs of response. Their eyes opened briefly. They made small sounds when Patricia handled them. Come on, Pepper, Patricia whispered during a 4 a.m. feeding. Your mama brought you to me. She's out there waiting. You've got to fight. On day 5, something changed. Patricia was preparing the morning feeding when she heard it. A sound she'd been desperately hoping for. Pepper was chirping, weakly but definitely chirping. She picked him up carefully. His eyes were open, actually open and focusing. His breathing, while still labored, was stronger. There you are, Patricia said, tears streaming down her face. There's my little fighter. By the end of week 2, all 3 kits were improving dramatically. They were eating enthusiastically, their eyes bright, their movements coordinated. The infection was clearing, and every single day, the mother squirrel sat on that branch, watching, waiting. She knows, Patricia told William during a checkup visit. She knows they're getting better. This is remarkable, William admitted, photographing the kits for his records. I've never seen a wild animal maintain vigil like this. Usually they abandon sick young, but she's been here for 2 weeks. She's a mother, Patricia said simply. Mothers don't give up. By week 4, the kits were healthy, active, and starting to show squirrel behaviors. They climbed the inside of their box. They practiced jumping. They chattered at each other. It was time. Patricia carried the box outside to the porch. The moment she opened the back door, the mother squirrel was down from the tree. She approached cautiously, her tail twitching. Patricia opened the box and stepped back. Would you believe what happened next? The mother squirrel climbed into the box and sniffed each baby carefully, thoroughly. Then she looked up at Patricia, and Patricia would swear for the rest of her life that the squirrel's eyes showed recognition. Gratitude. The mother picked up Pepper first, carrying him up to a nest in the oak tree that Patricia had never noticed before. Then Scout. Then Ruby. One by one, she moved her healthy babies home. After the last kit was safely in the nest, the mother squirrel came back down. She sat on the porch railing and looked at Patricia for a long moment. Then she chirped once, a clear, distinct sound, and she was gone. Patricia stood on that porch crying for 10 minutes straight. It was the most profound moment of her 70 years. But the story doesn't end there. 3 days later, Patricia was in her garden when she heard familiar chirping. The mother squirrel was back, sitting on the fence. Patricia walked over slowly. The squirrel dropped something at her feet, then scampered away. It was an acorn, a perfect, unblemished acorn. "Is that a thank you?" Patricia called after her. Over the next weeks, more acorns appeared. On the porch railing, on the garden bench, on her car's hood. The mother squirrel was leaving gifts. By the second month, the 3 kits were venturing out of the nest, learning to forage. And they weren't afraid of Patricia. When she sat on her porch, they would come close. Not close enough to touch, but closer than wild squirrels normally allowed. The mother had taught them something. This human was safe. This human was family. Patricia's neighbor, Jennifer Walsh, witnessed one interaction and recorded it on her phone. The video showed Patricia sitting on her porch reading, and all 4 squirrels playing in the yard nearby. The mother would occasionally look toward Patricia, as if checking in. "That's not normal," Jennifer said. "Wild squirrels don't act like that." "They do if you save their lives," Patricia replied. The video went viral. "Woman saves baby squirrels, mother shows gratitude," headlines read. News crews wanted interviews. Wildlife experts wanted to study the behavior. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, an animal behaviorist from Austin, visited Patricia's home. She observed the squirrels for hours. "This is extraordinary," Sarah said. "The mother didn't just bring her babies to any human. She watched you, assessed you, determined you were trustworthy." That level of reasoning and decision-making in a squirrel challenges what we know about rodent intelligence. But someone else was watching the news coverage with very different intentions. Eric Daniels was a wildlife trapper who supplied exotic pet dealers. Trained squirrels could sell for thousands of dollars, and these squirrels were already habituated to humans. Perfect targets. On a Thursday evening when Patricia was at her book club, Eric entered her backyard with nets and crates. He'd done this hundreds of times. Quick, quiet, efficient. But Eric didn't know about the bond that had formed, or that bonds go both ways. He positioned himself under the oak tree and threw the first net toward the nest. The mother squirrel saw it coming and let out an alarm call so loud it echoed across the neighborhood. Within seconds, every squirrel in a 3-block radius responded. They came from trees, rooftops, power lines, dozens of them, converging on Patricia's yard. Eric suddenly found himself surrounded by an army of angry squirrels. They didn't attack directly, but they made his work impossible. They tangled his nets. They chewed through his ropes. They stole his bait from the traps. Patricia's neighbor heard the commotion and called the police. Officers arrived to find Eric surrounded by chaos, trying to fend off dozens of squirrels while protecting his face. "They're just squirrels," he shouted at the officers. "Get them away from me." "Those are protected wildlife," the officer said, recognizing Eric from previous complaints. "And you're trespassing. You're under arrest." Eric's vehicle contained evidence of an illegal wildlife trafficking operation. He faced state and federal charges. His arrest shut down a network that had been capturing and selling wildlife across 3 states. Have you ever seen nature defend its own? The mother squirrel and her kits continued thriving in Patricia's yard. The babies grew into healthy adults, and they never forgot the human who saved them. Even now, years later, Patricia reports something magical. Every morning when she comes out with her coffee, there are acorns on her porch railing, perfectly placed, a daily gift from the family she saved. Scout, Ruby, and Pepper have their own babies now, and those babies show no fear of Patricia. The mother taught them. Then Scout, Ruby, and Pepper taught their own young. This human is different. This human is safe. This human is family. Are you crying yet? Because Patricia does, every time she sees the newest generation of kits playing in her yard while their grandmother watches from her favorite branch. This story proves that families aren't just about blood or species. It's about trust, about being chosen, about showing up when someone desperately needs help, even when that someone can't speak your language. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible true stories of survival and love. Share this with someone who needs to remember that sometimes the smallest creatures teach us the biggest lessons about compassion.